Well, welcome. Today, I'm going to digress a little bit from real estate and talk to you about podcasting and what my own journey has been in podcasting, and with the hopes that you'll think about it or you'll understand it more for yourself. Welcome to Real Estate Connections Podcast, where relationships open doors. I'm Mary Foerster, and housing is a universal need. We are often thinking about our existing housing, our future housing, that possibly of family members. This is where you're going to hear the issues and the people who are working the issues every day. Please hit subscribe and like if you find this podcast helpful to you. Thank you. Welcome, and today we're going to talk about podcasting, not just real estate. Today I want to talk to you about my little journey as being a podcaster, how that might impact you and what you do around podcasting. When you said to somebody, what is a podcast? They usually think, oh, it's something you listen to. Somebody famous is speaking, and I don't know much more about it. And do you listen to podcasts? No, not really. So I got into podcasting just after COVID. A woman in my office, Mary Elliott, invited Mary McCauley and me, Mary Foerster, to do a podcast on real estate. We had just been through COVID. We were trying to figure out what might be fun to do and what we learned, and mostly to share our excitement for real estate, which was our common goal. So we started a podcast, 50 episodes of Married to Real Estate. And we produced it over at a local community access television station. But that's all we did. And they very kindly put it out on the internet, and we posted it on a webpage, and that was the end of it. And we had fun. We talked to some really fascinating people. And I'd like to share with you what I learned about podcasting and where I am now. So I think that the most important thing about podcasting is finding a voice. You know, so many of us learned to be polite, to only respond to questions, to not offend, and to not really express ourselves, our curiosity, very often. And what podcasting allows you to do is allows you to create. What is the topic? What do you love? What is out there being produced in the subject that you love? Fly fishing, whatever it is, Italian food, whatever it is. And is there a void? Are you really wanting to hear more? And who are those people who are the experts in that area? So for me, and for many other people I hear, it's finding your voice, and that you do have a voice. And the more you explore, the more confident you become. So we did 50 some episodes of Married to Real Estate. And we were comfortable because it was in our community of Westford, Massachusetts. And we typically knew the people, and sometimes we would Zoom them in, but for the most part, they were fairly local. And we had fun. But the funnest part was dispelling the fear in our guests. So we would say, have you podcasted before? They would say no. And we would say, well, it's a little scary at first. But when at the end of it, we always ask our clients, our guests, what was it like? And they always said, it was fun. And people actually can find their voice. So we didn't have too many episodes where we had to go back and do some editing, but that's okay. And that was really, really good. And that was a comfort level. But then this group formed, that started to meet at the community access television station that we recorded at. And the group was called New England Podcasters Group. And this fantastic woman, Andy Lyons, came over from Andover, or as we say in Massachusetts, Andover. And she convened a group of people who the only requirement was an interest in podcasting and that you live or work in New England. And what a genius. And we started meeting. And I have to tell you, the topics that the people were talking about, finding your voice was one of them. What happens when you turn 40? Is there something magical or scary or dramatic when you turn in your 40s? As I mentioned, Italian food. I wish I were a prosciutto is about loving Italian food and loving the culture of Italian food. It can be about attending, boarding schools. It can be anything. And I find a lot of them are what is life like in the midlife. And I'm seeing a whole lot of podcasters in that venue. So finding a voice, really important to find your voice and to get comfortable. My first podcast, I did this interviewing quite, a guest, and I thought, oh no, I have to fix that. That's imperfect. And that's the second part. The second part is accepting imperfection. There's a woman in our group, the New England Podcasters Group, Amy Bolduc, and she frequently posts about accepting imperfection, doing it anyway, dipping your toe in. And so I urge you, whether you want to learn to ballroom dance or if you want to try a podcast, whatever, dip your toe in and allow that to happen. Allow those kind of learning messages that comes along with finding your voice. I've grown so much in just this short time of doing my second podcast, which is Real Estate Connections Podcast, which is you're on right now listening to. We've only had 14 episodes, and I'm thrilled by the attention that some of the episodes have received, and I'm so excited about the guests. They warm my heart. They really, really, really do. And even if I don't know them, I know them by the end of the podcast. But what is the challenge about getting to know yourself? One, trusting that you have a view, and secondly, asking people to converse with you about a subject that you have in common. So this woman found me from England, and Suzanne Runyon, and she talks about feng shui. Well, I love feng shui, but what does feng shui have to do with real estate? And so we were able to have a conversation about the importance of decluttering, the importance of finding the energy centers in your home and what you want to focus on. She was fantastic, and she's received so much attention. And investing, which I love the discussion around investing and who's investing and how do you invest. But the most important thing is to ask. And sometimes it is asking the person that you would like to interview or you would like to have a recorded conversation with. And sometimes it's asking them who they know. And a dear friend of mine, Sabor Sheikh, somebody that I interacted with 15 years ago, is well connected with a fantastic podcaster, David Sindoni. And David has a very successful podcast called How to Buy Your First Home. And I thought, oh, wow, that's just kind of like the king, the kind of ruling of the airwaves in terms of real estate. And I was talking to Sabor, and I said, Sabor, do you know David Sindoni? He said, yes, I know him very well. I've known him for years. Sabor, do you think that I could have a conversation with him? And within a half an hour, David Sindoni actually phoned me. And he phoned me because Sabor is dear to him. And I was dear to Sabor. And so he called me and he shared with me the very beginnings of his own podcast, what he's learned. And he guided me. This was unbelievable. This was so, so valuable. This was better than reading 1 million books, watching 1,000 YouTube content episodes on how to do a podcast. It was just to hear from somebody who has lived through this and has evolved himself in what his business model is and what his personal growth is. So finding a voice, asking, for, can I talk to so-and-so? And then talking to them and having confidence to talk with them. And then the last area I just want to mention today is the area of finding help. Now, when Mary and I did Married to Real Estate, we had the technical help of the Community Access Channel. We only had to pay like a membership fee, and they allowed us to use their podcast studio. And they gave us the wonderful help of Nick and Ryan to help us. And Nick just kind of led us through what we do. And we got better and better and better and more interested and exciting in our own interviews. So that was the beginning way. Many podcasters begin with a computer and a microphone, and that's it, and maybe headphones, and they record, and then they find an outlet for their recording. And so it can be as simple as that. And some people are so technically adept. I'm not. I'm not. I'm the kind of person that if I run into a problem in computers, I think, oh no, I've got to stop and I've got to figure this all out, and oh, I've got to start all over again. And so it's really very hard. Well, when I met the New England podcasters, and they meet monthly, this is a group, and you can actually join them too. You can come in and join them in on Zoom because they have content every meeting, one meeting a month, and in person. And then they have a lot of kind of content meeting through the month. So there would be people in there who were experts at, helping people not only design their podcast, but produce their podcast, market their podcast. And I thought, this time around, if I'm going to do a podcast, I'm going to get some help. So I found the money and I decided that this is the way I'm going to do it. And I looked around. There were some wonderful people. I had several to choose from. And I chose Julie and Dan. And Julie and Dan, if you need some further contact information, let me know. But they have been perfect for me because they led me. They were professional. They knew content. They knew how to figure out what's important to listeners. They could guide me on the technology and show me how to do things better and better and better and better. And so there are people out there. You can do it yourself. You can get people to help you. You can join a class at adult education. You can find many, many, many places. So I read recently that there have been, in 2025, 1 billion views of video podcasts. They used to just be audio. A lot of them are still audio, but now more of them are moving to audio visual. And that's because people have an opportunity to see them, and they have been able to actually use the actual images in marketing, and that really does help. So 1 billion. Most podcasts start out with maybe getting 8 episodes and maybe not more. So it's success. If you get beyond 8 successive podcasts, you are a success. And so ask for help. And I was at the 2nd birthday celebration of the New England podcasters this past weekend. And we do this little kind of get to know each other and what your podcast is and what your challenge is. It was fascinating. In just this small group that I was in, the variety of technical expertise. And one sound engineer said to somebody who said, I know nothing about technology. Give me a call. We'll go through sound engineering together and I'll show you exactly what to do. That's the kind of help that's out there. So I share this with you just as kind of the joy and pleasure of having attended this New England Podcasters Group for 2 years and learn and have the courage to start another podcast. And the courage to learn and the courage to ask. So if you're curious, find podcasts that you're interested in, listen to them, and keep searching and keep doing it and ask for help. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope you found this conversation useful to you and your real estate goals. You'll find the contact information for our guests and any links they recommend you have in the show notes. And should we be able to help you identify some strong real estate professionals in your area, drop us a note at info@realestateconnectionspodcast.com. Thanks again, and bye for now.